Chapter 9. Thursday dinner time. Mac burst out laughing. You really are funny. How can I be funny? Doreen muttered. This is too delicious. She smiled as she attacked the rest of her meal. She had barely laid down her fork when the phone rang. It was Nan. Hi Nan, she said cheerfully. Henrietta, she said. Yes, Henrietta is Fred and Frank's sister. What about her? There were rumors about her and her life. Not nice ones. But I don't know in what way. And she hung up. Doreen set her cell phone on the table. Nan says Frank and Fred Darbunkle's sister, Henrietta, had some not nice rumors about her life. Mac groaned. You need to just leave it alone, he said. Do you know anything about that case? No, he said, I really don't. Okay, she said, because Nan had mentioned something earlier about it, and I just don't want murderers to go free. And they won't, Mac said. But if they murdered anybody, we don't have any bodies. Do me a favor, Doreen said. When you go back to the office tomorrow, just make sure the Darbuncle seniors and the sister are not missing, okay? How do you expect me to find that out? I want you to confirm you don't have anything important in a file on them. He sighed, then shrugged and said, I'll see what I can do. Otherwise, Doreen said, I'll have an awful lot of obituaries to go through. Mac laughed. It's almost worth it to think how busy that'll keep you. I won't have to worry about you for at least a week. Unless I get lucky, she said craftily. And I come up with something elsewhere that's interesting. Mac shook his head. What about the files from the journalist? Did you even look in there? Doreen bounced to her feet and bolted inside. I forgot. She returned a few moments later with her laptop. I did tell you how I indexed them, right? Indexed? He asked cautiously as he stacked their empty dishes. I wrote down all the names of everybody we have a Solomon file on. Then scanned in the summary notes from the journalist's own handwriting. She brought up her file. Do you know how to spell Darbuncle? He gave her the correct spelling of Darbuncle, and she typed that into her document and searched for it. Almost immediately it came up. Oh my, she said. There is a file. Seriously? Doreen nodded. I'll get the box. She headed back inside, but this time Mac was right there with her. They pulled the boxes down until she found the right one. Mac lifted it up and put it on the kitchen table, and they searched through it. Her hand found the Darbuncle file first, but he snatched it from her, so he was the one holding it. She glared at him. That's my file. He gave her the sweetest of smiles. You can pour us some coffee, he said. Doreen glanced at the pot and saw enough was left for a cup for each of them. She finished cleaning up and poured the coffee as she waited impatiently while Mac flipped through the file. Interesting, he said. What's interesting? I remember typing notes about it, but I didn't have any connection to it at the time, so it was just words on paper. That's the problem with some cases. They become just words. You really must have a personal connection, and then they come alive. What kind of connection exists here? Information on the family. The parents went bankrupt a couple times. Never very good at business, but the couple themselves were married for a good 40+ years. Then they disappeared. At that he stopped and frowned. Wait. Rumor had it they moved to the East Coast. That was, maybe a tad more than 15 years ago. But then Solomon found where the sons filed a missing persons report, but in the other district where the parents had moved to, again, about 15 years ago. After the legal waiting period, the sons filed for a certificate of death. Yeah, so just 7 or so years ago the house could have been legally in the sons' names. I will cross-reference this by checking our records in the morning. But if the two police districts weren't communicating, we won't have all the related documents. It could still be a missing persons case, right? Hopefully, if the journalist has a file on them, the corresponding police jurisdiction will too. But only if somebody reported them missing, correct? Mac nodded. So then, how would this journalist know about them being missing if there wasn't a police file? Don't get ahead of yourself. I can check tomorrow if our district, or the other one, has a missing persons file. Unless anything else is in here in Solomon's file. Doreen already was at her laptop, going over the notes she'd scanned in. Okay, I found what you just read off. Still so suspicious. One day to the next just gone. Sons reported it, but nobody ever saw their parents again. After 7 years the parents were declared dead, and the sons inherited everything. She whistled at that. That's always suspicious. Whenever money's involved and people disappear, as far as I'm concerned, they're already guilty. Hey, Max said, no jumping to conclusions. Besides, I don't know that the Darbunkles had much in the way of money because of those bankruptcies. Doreen nodded. I get that. Did you see any mention of Henrietta in there? Mac read through the Solomon file and shook his head. Not in the journalist's notes, nothing. According to this file, she's not missing. So maybe Nan was wrong. Mac closed the file. Did you scan this one in? She nodded. Can you email it to me, please? He asked. Doreen brought it up, attached it to an email, and sent it to him. Done. Do you think Nan is wrong? The question really is, he said, if Henrietta's not missing, where the hell is she?